Hello and welcome.
To the Delusional Boyfriend Book Club, where if shipping One Piece characters is wrong, I don't want to be right. I'm Courtney,
And I'm Wolf.
and we'll be your hosts. And every week we're going through one volume of One Piece until we hit volume 50 by the end of the year. If you're interested in reading along with us, please rate, review, and subscribe. And you can head over to our website to find the full calendar of reads because we'll also be going over BL manga, BL manhwa, BL anime, BL live actions, and romance novels throughout this whole book club year. Make sure to follow along on our socials to never miss out on any of the fun things happening here at book club. We're on volume 5 of One Piece, and this is the end of our Captain Kuro arc. And so we've got our fight from the last like 3 volumes to wrap up here. So Wolfgang's going to jump right into our summary, and then we're going to talk about who our delusional boyfriend from this book is, from this specific volume at the end of the episode. So Wolfgang, lead us in. I think at the end of the last volume, we left off with Captain Kuro and Django still kind of having the upper hand in this battle, right?
Yes, I mean the first half of this book is a lot of fighting, to be honest, and then we get more into the story, which I mean I like. But so pretty much what happens is in the last one you had Django following in Kaya and the kids who had like taken Kaya to, protect her into the woods. And so it starts off with that. He's kind of like menacingly going after her like a murderer psycho in the woods.
And he has like these throwing rings. So he's kind of like cutting down the trees as they're running through the forest to get away. So it's Kaya and then the 3 Usopp pirates who are like the little kids that Usopp has trained to be brave in these moments. So they're doing their best to escape Django, even as he's like cutting through the forest at them.
Yeah, pretty much. And then you have Luffy, Zoro, and then Nami kind of as a side character. She doesn't really have a huge part in this book.
She's off stealing treasure like she usually does.
Yeah, she's doing her own thing. But you have Luffy and Zoro on the beach. Zoro's fighting Bushy going on, and so pretty much what's happening is Usopp is on the ground being pathetic and crying, and Kuro is pretty much laughing at him, and Usopp is yelling back, like, I'm concerned about my friends, like, very validly. They're a bunch of kids. And so he's kind of concerned about his friends, and Luffy pretty much sees him laughing at Usopp and says, I'm gonna beat you up, I'll kill you. Don't ever laugh at my friends. And so they start kind of getting in a tussle. And then at the same time, what happens is Usopp hears the kids kind of like yelling, kind of like, and he gets concerned. And so this is kind of a funny scene where Zoro also hears that and kind of like throws Usopp on his shoulders.
After he beats Butchie, and I love this one part where Zoro like beats Butchie and he basically says, "Be a good kitty and don't get back up." And made me so hot for Zoro. He has like the hottest one-liners sometimes. So he picks up Usopp on his back and he starts running and he's basically like, I could go a lot faster if you could like pull your own weight. And Usopp's like, well, why even take me with? And Zoro goes, because without you, I won't be able to find my way through the forest because he has no sense of direction. So Usopp is like, go east. And he's like, which way is east? You need to tell me left or right. So it's kind of hilarious, but they're on their way towards Kaya and the kids. And working together with Usopp as like the compass and Zoro as the manpower and the speed. They're doing their best to get to them before anything bad happens.
Yeah, and then the scene opens up where the kids are in the woods, kind of like trying to protect Kaya, running away. Django catches up and he kind of beats up the kids one time. The kids kind of like hit him a few times. A lot of this first part is just fighting, like I was saying. So you have the kids fighting Django. Django beats up 3 kids. Not very cool, to be honest. Uh, and then Kaya starts to kind of like scream and says, like, if you kill these kids, like, I won't write the will for you. And then that's kind of what opens up the scene of Zoro and Usopp running through the woods, like, at them. And so he kind of says, like, I have to, get this done really quick and starts to choke Kaya. Then what happens is it just bounces back to Luffy and Kuro. They're fighting more. Luffy's using his gum powers and like extending his arms. Kuro's running around on top of him, kind of fighting him, and it's kind of a fair battle. A lot of it is talking, to be honest, but
There's a lot of shit talking, and then every time
pretty
Luffy
much.
does a Captain Kuro is a cat, so he's like doing his quick foot thing where he just evades all of Luffy's attacks. But Luffy's starting to catch on to like where he's going to be next. And he's starting to anticipate his movements. And he does get a couple like hits in.
Mhm.
But Captain Kuro basically this whole time is having the upper hand.
And pretty much his pirate his pirate crew, sorry, is like saying, you know, "Go get him, Captain Kuro, go get him." But when they say Captain Kuro, he kind of yells at them, and we get like a quick flashback to his past, where I thought had already read this in the last one, but apparently not. His whole past is him being a captain, and he is kind of tired of it, and he wants to escape the Navy because he's wanted. And so what happens is he has Django. They fight a Navy ship. They capture one of the Navy soldiers, and he has Django hypnotize him and say, and to make him think that this captured Navy soldier is Captain Kuro. So when the next day, when the Navy like they turn in this like Navy impersonator to the Navy, and so when the Navy executes him, you know, Captain Kuro is dead.
They've effectively faked his death
Yeah.
so that Captain Kuro takes over this other ship and goes to this island and starts anew. And so they call him Captain Kuro of the Thousand Plans. So this is his big plan,
Mhm.
was to fake his death, move to this island, have everybody forget that he ever existed, take on a new identity, and have peace of mind, as he calls it. So he's basically fooled everyone in town into thinking he's good. And his last step is getting Kaya to write her whole fortune to him. And he's this close to getting it done. And so when all the crew starts saying, "Go, Captain Kuro, go," he's like, "I'm going to kill all of you, because if you live, you're going to expose my identity and my reputation will follow me." And Luffy says, "If you didn't want a bad reputation, should have never been a pirate." And so that's when Luffy like really kind of decides like, okay, you're worthless. I'm definitely not going to lose to a loser like you, because you kind of bring shame on the pirate name. So he picks up like a massive boulder
Mhm.
when Captain Kuro is fighting him, and Captain Kuro swipes at him and breaks all of his claws off on the boulder. And that's when we see Luffy is definitely going to win this. So
Oh, and then what happens also is because his crew says Kuro, he gets really mad, and then like kind of starts to kill his crew, and Luffy gets really mad too, because you know it's a friend hurting a friend. You can't do that in front of Luffy. And so yeah, they just end up keeping fighting, and then we bounce back to Usopp and Zoro in the woods, and pretty much Django's about to kill Kaya. And so the only thing that Zoro kind of can do is like cut through the trees.
and he throws Usopp down, so
Yeah,
he's done with his dead weight.
he throws Usopp down, he cuts through the trees, and then you get kind of really cool two side panels of like Luffy pretty much about to knock out Kuro, Usopp bringing back his little
Slingshot,
so thank you, slingshot, and both of them kind of knocking him out at the same time.
which is awesome. And it really does show that like different people have different strengths and they can be just as useful to a team, even if they're doing it in different ways. So Usopp, he kind of yells to Zoro and he goes, "Thanks for clearing the shot," because Zoro cut down the trees. Usopp uses his special exploding stars to hit Django. And then all the little kids come out and like pour pepper powder in Django's eyes.
Yeah.
So everybody's doing their bit. And then Luffy, we get a couple new Gum Gum moves
Yep.
in this edition. One of them was Gum Gum Spear, where Luffy puts his feet together and then shoots a kick out. And that Kuro evaded. But then once Luffy basically wraps Kuro up in a bear hug so he can't get away from him, he does this move, which is my favorite, which is Gum Gum Bell, which is like a massive headbutt.
Yeah, he just brings his, because he's a gum gum man. He just brings his head super far back, and then yeah, just a big headbutt.
It's so funny. So after that, we have Captain Kuro kind of knocked out. We have Usopp getting Kaya, and that's pretty much the end of the fight, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much where it ends, is because again, it's a double panel in which Luffy and Usopp kind of knock him out at the same time. The captain and the second in command at the same time, and it kind of ends the fight. The Kuro's crew members just run away after that, because half of them are pretty much like dead from Kuro, or they're
Mad
knocked
at
out.
him.
Yeah, they're mad at him, and so they pretty much bring everyone back on the ship, and they leave town.
And then everybody kind of decides, well, Usopp tells everybody, "We're not going to tell the town that this ever happened, because I've been yelling about the pirates are coming, the pirates are coming." And basically, I was just doing that for my own little performative reasons, but I don't actually want to scare the townspeople. I want them to have peace of mind that they're safe and nobody's coming for them. So everyone just be quiet and pretend like I made this whole lie up. And it's really honorable of Usopp because when it comes to lying, he only lies to make people happy. And he knows that this lie, not telling everyone what a hero he was and that he accomplished this big feat, this lie will make people happy by making them not worry that their town is in danger. So again, another super honorable moment. Kaya is really impressed with Usopp as well, which is good. You always want to impress the girl. And she tells Mary, her servant, we're going to give them the boat and we're not going to tell the town what happened and we're all going to move on. And then we see the townspeople kind of becoming a little bit worried because they're like, where is that man? Where's that Usopp liar who's always running through telling us that pirates are coming? We even slept through our alarms. Usually he's the one who wakes us up in the morning with his bullshit, and he's nowhere to be seen. And Usopp tells those little carrot, onion, and pepper, his Usopp pirates, he says, we are not telling anyone this happened. It's our final act of bravery, and we're going to disband. So each of you tell me your dreams. And one of them has a dream to own a tavern. One of them wants to be a master carpenter, and the other one wants to be something else. And he basically says, I need you guys all to kind of be done with our pirate scheme and follow those dreams. That's very honorable of you to have those dreams. I must go to the sea and I am being called to the Jolly Roger, just like my dad was. So I'll have to leave you guys, but I need you to be brave, fight for your dreams, and do what's right. And the Usopp pirates all agree to do that. And when they get back to their houses, their parents are asking them where they've been, and they just lie and go about the day as normal. And then they come to each other and they say, you know, we're going to carry on the tradition of Usopp and we're going to continue kind of each day running amok and yelling about the pirates in order to kind of keep the spirit of Usopp alive and keep our village, which has started to depend on this little act for entertainment. We're going to kind of keep them entertained. So it's very cute. And then we see the pirate crew like eating a little bit of food, then getting on their boat to go. And Usopp runs to them. It looks like he has a small boat he might go on. And Luffy says, what are you doing on that? Like, get up here on our big, nice boat. And their
We're
boat,
friends, aren't we?
we're friends, aren't we? And their boat is gorgeous because Kaya gave them, it's called the Merry Go, but we call it the Go and Merry if you watch anime. So I'm wondering when that translation kind of, or if there's a reason that name switches. But I didn't realize that her butler, Mary, was on all the old flags and that it was named after him. And it's like a merry-go-round. I don't know. There's a bunch of puns. Oda is always working with these puns and these plays on word, play on
Well,
words.
he's also like he's like
Yeah, he's on
the head of the ship master, the head of the ship.
is a sheep. And so we've got that. And it's kind of funny because sheep are known to be like kind of helpless. Like there's always a wolf to like coming and eating the sheep. And it's kind of funny that this band of teenagers has this sheep, like what would seem to be a helpless, harmless sheep as their mascot. And I don't know, I like that because they're kind of like wolves in sheep clothing in themselves because nobody could tell from just looking at these teenagers that they're actually pretty tough, pretty rough and tumble. So they get on the boat. They ask Usopp to come with them, and he is so excited. He says, "Okay, I'll be the captain." And Luffy's like, "The hell you will be. You're not the captain." And they get on the boat and they start practicing how to shoot the cannon. And Luffy can't hit a target with the cannon, but Usopp does. And he says, "Usopp, you're not going to be the captain, but you are my sharpshooter."
Mhm.
And so that's really sweet. And they start sailing off. Nami got a little bit of treasure when she was here. When everyone else is fighting, Nami went off and got some treasure. Zoro, you know, has kind of brushed off his sword skills. So everybody is in tip top shape and ready to go.
Yeah, no, and they're eating lunch, and then all of a sudden, someone jumps on board, and we get introduced to some of my favorite characters
Johnny?
yeah, Johnny and Yasuko, who have gotten kind of forgot about in the actual like show, but like so what happens is that when Zoro and or not Zoro, but when Luffy and Usopp were messing around and shooting that cannon, they hit it because Usopp shot it, and apparently Johnny and Usuko were on this
Rock.
rock and like recovering because Yusuko doesn't feel so well. And so they jump on Johnny, you see Johnny first. He jumps on the boat.
I was like, how did they get here? Did they fling off of the rock, and he's like, don't ask too many questions. Sometimes Oda just does it the way he does it. But apparently, these two were sitting on the rock and they swim over to the boat,
Fast swimmers.
and they are pirate bounty hunters,
Yep.
but they're all out of energy. And so they immediately are like, oh, we're going to fight you. And Luffy knocks Johnny out right away. And he's like, well, that guy's no threat to us. He seems to be starving to death. And then Zoro comes out and goes, oh my God, you guys. And he recognizes this guy. And then he brings his brother aboard, and his brother is on the verge of death. And they keep saying, a hair's breadth to death. So that's like their common catchphrase, I guess, which shows us that these two are oftentimes maybe not as good of bounty hunters as they claim to be. They're sometimes in bad shape, like they are right now.
Yeah, no, and it's one of my favorite parts of this one. It's just that they're Yusuko, he's in bad shape, and like they're like they were hunting pirates and stuff, and like Nami takes one look at him, and that's when I kind of told Courtney, I was like, "You're just gonna say men are so dumb."
Men are so dumb, and that's exactly what Nami says. She's just like, your teeth are falling out. You're clearly like suffering from scurvy.
And like none of them know what scurvy is.
Luffy's like, what's scurvy? Usopp doesn't know what scurvy is. It doesn't seem like Zoro does. And she's just like, are you fucking kidding me? You cannot be on the ocean and not know what scurvy is.
Yeah.
Go get me the limes and juice the limes. So they juice the limes, and then they pour them down his throat so the one that's really suffering of scurvy can recover. And he jumps right up, and she goes, you idiots, you wouldn't recover that fast. And they introduce themselves as pirate hunters. They say that they've been fighting with Zoro. And then the one who is sick kind of keels over, and she's like, yeah, you idiot, your scurvy isn't cured yet. Like, get some rest. And that's when they all decide that they're missing a couple very important crew members, but the one that's most important for them to get ASAP is a cook.
Yeah, and so Johnny and they both tell them that Johnny and Yusuko, they both tell them like there's actually a really good restaurant on the sea. You guys should go to that. And so it ends up being the name of the restaurant is the Bariati, and so it's like a kind of a French pronunciation, but
And it's like a big fish looking restaurant where there's 4 levels of restaurant. It's like beautiful, actually. There's like an outdoor patio. I would love to go on a date with you there.
that would be fun.
It looks so good. So
I feel like someone should capitalize on that.
oh my gosh, that would be such a fun restaurant to do. Like,
Mhm.
especially like if you're on the shore somewhere and you could do it like off in the water. We could do that. We live in Montana. There's Flathead Lake is like our huge lake, and it's so big it kind of almost looks like a sea or something. And that would be so cool to do on Flathead Lake. I would love that. So they pull up to this restaurant right at the same time that a naval ship is pulling up. And the naval ship basically has a captain named Full Body,
Iron Fist Full Body.
Iron Fist Full
You
Body.
had it.
And they pull up next to the pirates and they say, oh, it's our day off and we need to get a bite to eat. So we're just going to blast you away with the cannon and then go into the restaurant.
Full Body's got a date. He's got a hot date.
He's got a hot date. So he's not wasting time. So he fires a cannon at them. And Luffy says, I've got this, no problem. And does Gum Gum Balloon. And he ricochets the cannon off of his belly and straight into the restaurant that they all need to go eat at. So this is like a huge mistake. And Luffy immediately has to go inside and start apologizing to the head chef. And he like freaks out when he sees him and he goes, oh my God, I blew off your leg. And the chef,
he has a peg leg.
he already has a peg leg that's like fully healed, but he does have a head injury. And he's like, you idiot, you didn't blow off my leg. But you did hit me in the head, and you're going to have to work to pay off all this damage to the ship. And even though it wasn't Luffy's cannon, it was the Navy's cannon, Luffy's very honorable. So he's like, okay, I'll do whatever I need to do to work this off. How about 1 week of hard labor? And the chef who owns the restaurant goes, how about a year of hard labor? And Luffy's like, I can't do that. I have dreams to make happen. I'm so sorry. I can't work that long. And then the chef kicks him in the face, and we see that this guy is a very powerful fighter in his own right. So while they're negotiating how he's going to pay off this debt, we have the rest of our crew. They're like going on board to have a bite to eat, right?
Yeah, I mean,
They're kind of waiting to see if Luffy will come back.
yeah, well, they have. I mean, they come. It shows a little bit better in the anime, but they actually go on board to have a bite to eat, and because to pay the chef back, but also they want to find a chef of their own. So they're kind of 3 different things.
Yes, but like Luffy's off dealing with business, and those guys are kind of trying to get on board to get fed and find a chef. So they've split up a little bit here. Meanwhile, we see Full Body, that awful naval captain, in
And he keeps coming back a lot throughout the entire and the movies, and
ew,
he's like the worst.
I hate him. He kind of
He keeps getting uglier, which is kind of a it's a whole thing.
he kind of reminds me of, like, a really ugly grown-up Draco Malfoy, and
Sure,
so
it's pretty
I
accurate.
don't like the look of his face, even though Draco Malfoy was one of my first delusional boyfriends way back in the day, and I that was a massive, massive red flag that I should have seen. But point being, this Captain Full Body is not cute. He is in like a pinstripe suit and he's with his girl at dinner and he starts bragging about the wine. And I said, "Oh, his name must be Full Body because he's so interested in wines." And he's like, "Oh, this is a very full body wine. It must be." And he names the wine and he goes, "Waiter, is that correct? Did I?" He's like fancies himself some kind of sommelier. And so Sanji walks up, this new character who is I'm so excited to have this character introduced. So he walks up and he says, "I'm actually not a waiter. Don't call me waiter. I'm a chef. My name is Sanji, and that is not the wine that you think it is. It's a completely different wine." And then he looks at the girl who's there with Full Body and he starts flirting with her. And he's like, "Would you like something from my private reservoir or my private reserve?" And this is infuriating Full
Well,
Body.
because, like, he had, like, ordered the certain wine so he could impress this girl, like, a week in advance. So this guy he's kind of he's like a setup, like, scumbag.
Yeah, he was just trying to put on a show for this girl, but I think Sanji probably just gave them whatever wine would go best with the meal
Yeah.
because he's such a good chef and he's a professional. And so he is kind of flirting with this girl, and while he's doing, because as you'll learn, Sanji flirts with everybody. He's like a shameless flirt.
He's a ladies' man.
He's a ladies' man. Full Body picks up a dead bug and puts it in his soup, and then he says, "Waiter, there's a bug in my soup. What's it doing there?" And Sanji says,
Stroke of bad luck.
"Stroke of bad luck."
That's it. He says that's a stroke of bad luck. And the guy, like, literally kicks the table. He's so mad.
And what he says was, "It looks like the bug is doing the backstroke."
Oh, yeah, he does say yeah, he does say that too. But he like, the last thing he says to set him off is a stroke of bad luck. But he's like, yeah, he just kind of
Is joking around. He
he
knows
insults him. He insults his manhood to this guy.
absolutely. And he just also is kind of unflappable. Like he knows he didn't cook soup with a bug in it. So he's not going to let this guy get under his skin. And then Full Body smashes the table because he's so fucking pissed that he can't get under Sanji's skin. And he spills all the soup everywhere. And then Sanji, I was talking to Wolf about this earlier, and I was like, Sanji kind of goes demon mode when that soup is spilt. And this is definitely foreshadowing because the one thing that really gets under Sanji's skin, other than disrespecting a woman, is wasting food. And he says, "You could have just taken the bug out and eaten that soup. It took us 3 days to make. And wasting food on the ocean is the biggest mistake a pirate can make." And he gets really fucking pissed and he starts beating this guy up. Meanwhile, another member of the kitchen named what's the he looks kind of like
Oh man, it was
Patty. So
Patty. Thank you.
Patty is this other cook, and him and Sanji do not get along. Patty comes out and sees that Sanji is beating up a customer, and Patty's all of the people on this kitchen team, their motto is "the customer is king," but only paying customers eat.
They get along. It's just that Sanji. I mean, like you'll find out soon, without in the next one too, is that Sanji just has no respect for anyone that doesn't respect a cook.
Yes, and so Sanji is beating up the customer. The Patty comes and kind of breaks them up, and then we see the main owner of the restaurant come down, and he kind of also gets involved in all of this. And then Patty, there's what's his name? A Jin. We see another pirate come on board and he shoots a naval member and he sits down at a table. So now we're kind of distracted from Full Body.
Well, the Navy guy comes. The Krieg pirates have escaped, and Lieutenant Full Body says, like days before we just captured these guys, how did they escape? They just got out. They just got into the blue.
And they should be starving to death because we haven't fed them. So they're no challenge for us because they should be starving to death. And this guy Jin comes in and he sits down and he asks for some food. He demands food. And when Patty asks him how much money he has, he says, "I can pay in lead," and points a gun at his head. And Patty says, "I don't fucking think so. Only paying customers around here." And he starts beating him up. And then Sanji hears this guy's stomach growl. And he also just heard that he hasn't eaten in days. And Sanji says, "Quit screwing with him. Give him something to eat. He's starving." Patty says, nobody eats unless they can pay. And he throws him outside. And Sanji comes out. And there's also a funny moment where he's like, are you hungry? And he's like, no, that was just a fart. You didn't hear my stomach gurgle. I'm not hungry. But Sanji makes him a plate of food and brings it outside. And he gives it to this starving man. And he basically says, anybody who's starving has a meal from me. And that's when Luffy is up above them on this little balcony. And he's looking down and he says, I've found my chef. And that's where the story ends. So we've definitely got a new member of the main squad just introduced, and that is Sanji. So that was super fun. And Wolfgang, reach under your seat right now. We're gonna do our little box opening. So each week so far, I've given Wolf a different figurine, and I try to match it for the episode. So today, this is Sanji, and it's not from this arc. This is Egghead. So this is from Egghead, but it is a fun Sanji figure, and you can see that he's kicking, and ooh, this part is easier to see. So you can see Sanji is like got blonde hair, he's got these spiral eyebrows, he has a little goatee, some facial hair, and he's always kicking. So what's his full name? Iron Leg Sanji. So that'll be a kind of fun figure for us to put together and put on display. It's funny because One Piece has all these different arcs and they have different outfits in each arc. So we'll have to have like a shelf of just, Egghead. That's what this one is?
That's Egghead, yep.
Yeah, so we'll have to have
that was the news. That is the news. Been animated.
So we'll have to have like a shelf of just those ones and then a shelf of, the Arlong Park and different arcs that we have for each character.
I doubt you could even, maybe you could find that. It'd
be fun to look
because of the Netflix show, but that'd be very hard to find.
I actually found some figures that are, so there is a whole live action One Piece series, and Wolfgang really hates it. I'm kind of dying to watch it.
I don't like it.
But I will say that the figures that I've found that are live action figures, I just saw a live action Sanji figure the other day. It's the scariest, ugliest figure I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
It is so unfortunate. But I think that if you cast real life people to play cartoons and then you make a figure of them that is like a bobblehead, we're just getting so far away from the original source material that it doesn't look anything like it. So it'll be fun to keep collecting those. And with that being said, who is your delusional boyfriend from this volume?
It'd be Johnny and Yasuko.
You have to pick one.
It'd be Yasuko because
the one dying of scurvy.
Yeah, it's because he teaches everyone scurvy's real on the ocean, and it's also like I feel like those characters. It's the most ridiculous answer I know, but I just feel like those characters also will come. I hope will come back one day in the show because like they just get forgotten about. They're also super weak, but I don't know. It's a fun little joke in that about scurvy because like until then it's a pirate thing. They have to get scurvy somehow, and then also Nami like grilling him about like being good pirates and knowing stuff like that. It's just funny. So I like Johnny and Yasuko, but
would you date Johnny IRL?
No,
he's too stupid and he's kind of ugly.
Yeah, he's got a face tattoo too. It's not.
Oh, that's Johnny. You picked Yasuko. He doesn't have a face tattoo, but neither one of them are very cute.
Yeah, he has like a really scruffed up like shaved head.
Who do either of those brothers? They call them each other brothers. I don't know if they're actually related.
They are, I think.
Do either of them beat your old delusional boyfriends from this series, or who is still your kind of number one of everybody so far?
Maybe. Have I said Zoro?
I think you've said Zoro.
Probably Zoro.
Zoro's still your number one. This is so funny. I think this is the third week in a row that my delusional boyfriend is Usopp, and I'm like,
you don't want to have captains or
no.
Chef Zed?
Nope, none of them. I will say this. I was really expecting, since I knew that Sanji was going to pop up in the story, to say Sanji, but we didn't really get to see enough of him. And he's kind of being petty in the restaurant, just like starting fights and flirting with other people's girlfriends. So
it's funny because like, he goes through a personality, like character shift. Like
development.
Development when he like, and like for like a while, it's weird because he's kind of a punk and then he meets, maybe that's just what he needed was friends, but like he's kind of a huge punk when you first meet him, and then he like becomes more likable, I think, like, as the show goes on.
I definitely think he's like, I don't know, if you think of like, we were just hanging out with Wolf's niece who's 18 years old, and she's going through this phase where she really wanted to grow up. And now that she's grown up, she doesn't really know what to do with herself. And that seems very much like Sanji core. So he wasn't my delusional boyfriend. Zoro, when he picks up Usopp on his back and runs with him, I was like, oh, maybe Zoro's going to be my delusional boyfriend this time. And he had that really good line where he said, be a good kitty and I won't kill you. That was so hot. But Usopp. Usopp is absolutely the bravest one in this entire volume. Even when he's knocked down, he tries to keep crawling. He does get the final slingshot in that kills or puts Django to rest for this arc. And
Doesn't kill him. Django will be back one day.
damn. And also, Usopp is so honorable when he basically decides that he doesn't want any credit for killing the pirates. He keeps everyone's peace of mind on the island by saying one last lie, which is that nothing happened at all. So I just think, I'm going to cough. Sorry, I'm getting all choked up. So Usopp's like final act of bravery, telling everybody that nothing happened and leaving Kaya and telling Kaya he'll come back for her. That all made him my delusional boyfriend for the 3rd week in a row. Go Usopp. Would I date Usopp IRL? Yes. At this point, I literally would. He's really growing on me. I'm finding him very cute and admirable. He's great with kids. He would make like an amazing uncle and or father. It's like, Usopp, you get it. Like, I'll kiss you on the mouth, Usopp. I love you.
Right.
I'm hoping that it switches soon because this is not the boyfriend that I saw for myself.
But it's fine. You can like who you like. This
is his arc.
To me, he's a coward. Sure, yeah. I mean, he's a coward though. The entire rest of the thing, in a good way. Every ship needs one, but like it's also he has a lot of comedy value in his cowardism, which is good.
Yeah, and he does, like, for being a coward, he does basically be like, Luffy, I'm going to be the captain. Like, he's got a lot of confidence for a coward, and I like that about him.
Confidence.
And mass? What do you mean mass?
Well, he has a lot of like mass confidence, like the most amount of confidence.
I see what
but
you
he
mean.
can't when it comes to backing it up. That's where he has the problem.
Yeah, it's kind of false confidence, like
Sure.
it's empty confidence. But I also like that his skill is like slingshotting things. And as we go on, in this one, we got to see he slingshotted like exploding stars, and we're going to see more. Basically, the Usopp pirates were playing with like pepper spray and that kind of stuff. And we're going to see Usopp play around with that too, which I think is very creative and funny and cool. So I can't wait to see where this goes.
He's got a lot of cool ammo. That's one thing that he really brings to the table is he brings a lot of cool sniper shots.
And I noticed when he was leaving home and he was going to get on the ship, he had like a huge backpack. So that explains where a lot of that supplies comes from, because everything that's on the ship, we have to have like a reason for why it would be on the ship. And we can't just have everything on there just for convenience sake, because this is a fictional story. So I like that we see each character kind of like, okay, we've got limes on the ship and we need a cook to help us cook with all the food that Mary and Kaya have packed the ship with. So we have kind of an inventory of things that they're working with, and then Usopp brings all this extra supplies so that they have more ammo. So really cool. Loved it. I do hope that Sanji steals my heart next volume, because I'm sick of being in love with Usopp. This is like, I know this is not my boy, but Zoro, the way he's always getting lost, I have a really bad sense of direction. And I'm like, oh my God, between you and I, one of us is going to have to know which way to go. And so Zoro needs to like...
Yeah, I mean, I already know who my delusional boyfriend is for next episode.
You can't say it.
Oh, I won't. Don't worry. But I already know.
It's a secret. And also, I did really love that Kaya gave the ship to them, because Usopp is in love with Kaya. We can see that. And it's very cool that she's like given him a piece of his own home to sail the ship with. And the other thing we didn't mention was that Luffy draws their flag. So they get a Jolly Roger, and it's the ugliest thing you've ever seen in your life. And I just saw a girl on Instagram get it tattooed, like the first draft of the Jolly Roger. So funny that she would get that tattooed. I love it.
Well, one thing that's like, I don't know if you put this together, because it doesn't really talk about it at all in the show or in the manga. But it's funny how like Luffy gives Nami this like really crappy drawing, and because she's so good at drawing maps and all these different things, her line work is impeccable. And the flag that she comes back with is like perfect.
Well, it's really hilarious because Usopp draws a flag too, and it's his own flag, and so he's still kind of keeping up this bit of like, "I'm actually the captain," and he tells Luffy, he says, "Luffy, you could be the captain, but if you're ever cowardly, I'm gonna take over." And Luffy goes, "Okay, sounds good, buddy."
Mm.
Never gonna happen. And then Nami makes them their real flag, and they end up drawing it on the mast, and so they have officially become the Straw Hat Pirates, and they have the logo, the straw hat that we all know and love. And they're on the ship, the Merry Go or the Going Merry. And this is where our crew really starts to look familiar. Like, this is the crew that everybody knows. So it's fun to see it all piecing together. We've almost got our very core main group. I'm really excited to get back to the Barate.
There's one more poor person, but yes.
There's a couple more core people. And so
Mhm.
it'll be really exciting to get Sanji's backstory coming up here. We did learn a little bit more of Usopp's backstory, which is that his mother is dead, his father is still out on the ocean, and now we're meeting Sanji, who is working for this chef on this boat. I know we're going to get more of his backstory coming up, so that will be really fun, and I really look forward to that. And by fun, I mean devastating, because every single one of these characters has the most devastating backstory.
Mhm.
So get yourself ready for that. Make sure that you read volume 6 for next week so that you can talk to us about it. I hope that you will join us, and please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you're listening. If you are listening on a podcast app, make sure that you turn on auto downloads. So every time we do an episode, it's immediately downloaded to your library. Helps the podcast a ton. And if you aren't following us on socials, it's at Delusional BF Book Club or at Delusional Boyfriend Book Club on everything: YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. So follow us there. If you want to email us and tell us what your delusional boyfriend so far in this series is, as far as One Piece goes, you can email me at CourtneyDBBC@outlook.com. And I would love to hear what you guys have to say about our little One Piece series. And if you're not listening to the other BL episodes on manhwa, anime, live actions, and our other novel episodes, please go ahead and listen to those as well. Even if you haven't read the stories, it could be fun just to get inspiration for your next read. Thank you so much for being here and for listening. This is so much fun for us, and we really love doing it. So I'm so glad we have people who are willing to listen to us yap all day long. Until next time, remember, sometimes the delusion.
Is the solution.
Bye.